Hello, good morning. What a beautiful day today is. It's not going to be beautiful for everyone, and quite honestly, even for most of us, it's not going to be beautiful, but it's all in how you handle it today. I know that I'm going to have some rough times today, but I'm okay with that. I know that I created this situation. The only way to get out of it is for me. I've got to do it. I've got to do the work. I've got to get in there and I've got to get some stuff done. No more like sitting around and waiting for something to be handed to me, which has been working. Don't get me wrong. The whole trusting the universe will provide, was really, really working during Saturn in Pisces, but Saturn is now in Aries, which means that it is time for me to get some shit done. So I got to take responsibility for other things as well. That's kind of the theme of the day. We have Pluto retrograde in Aquarius in a trine to Mercury in Gemini. If you got secrets that you don't want people to know, too bad. They're probably going to come out today. Somebody's going to start gossiping. Somebody's going to start telling your stuff. This is what I was getting this morning when I was doing my personal reading, was this like vision of somebody getting caught doing something and then like deflecting to try to say, well, but this person does this, in an effort to get the spotlight off of them. Now, Mercury is still under the rays of the sun, will be until Thursday, when we have the actual exact conjunction. You might see old stories come up, those old stories that need to be burned off, that need to be closed out so that you can move forward. They might be coming up today. My whole theory is, and I've said it on here before, if you don't want people to know that you're doing shady stuff, then don't do shady stuff. It's that simple. Especially don't do it to a Gemini or a Sagittarius, because the second that you do it to us, we're going to tell everybody everything. You should have been a decent human being in the first place. Take responsibility for your shitty behaviors. It's really that simple. As we go through the day, if some of your old stories come up, take responsibility. Say, I did that, okay? Now, don't be a jackass about it. We need to understand. We need to be learning our lessons. We need to really stand on business when it comes to taking responsibility for stuff. If we know that it's wrong, fix it. Know better and do better. That's like the theme of Saturn in Aries. You learn your lessons and now you're doing better. You have better tools to move forward in a productive way. Now, the moon is also in Gemini still, and it is making a sextile to Mars in Leo and then to Venus in Aries. So Mars is ruling Saturn, Neptune, and Aries right now, and Saturn and Neptune are really close together. There's going to be this real temptation to get all dramatic and be like, no, I didn't do that, and this person did this, and all like kind of shady, underhanded stuff. But what we really want to do is we want to just keep moving authentically. We want to keep being who we are. We want to take responsibility for the things that we've done. We admit to it. We do better next time. We say, yeah, I screwed up and I shouldn't have done that. I'm not going to do it again. That's the energy that we need to have today. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you've been through and getting to the other side, the work that you've done on yourself today. Also, get some popcorn and watch everybody else lose their shit when they start to get exposed for who they are. So let's pull some cards for the day. What is the energy for the collective today? We got that Pluto card right there, Scorpio. So Pluto is bringing up those secrets. You've got to make that transformation. It is that time where you've got to face the music here. What does the collective need to focus on today? The Chariot. We are moving forward. Again, you learn. You do better. You get to the other side and you start moving forward. You do it as yourself, as who you are as an individual. Make sure that you are moving forward in a place of being healed. What does the collective need to avoid today? That was too many though. Okay. You know what? I'm taking them because that makes sense. Don't have compassion and for people to the point that you're carrying all of their stuff. Because this actually makes a lot of sense. We don't want to forgive everyone for everything if they're not taking responsibility. We don't need to take on other people's healing. Your healing is your responsibility. Saturn in Aries says have boundaries. Don't take on other people's shit. That was my biggest mistake the last time that Saturn was in Aries, was not having those boundaries. And the universe, when Saturn's in Aries, it hands out karma like that. It's quick. So don't take on other people's stuff. If they're not willing to heal, you can't make them. And There's nothing wrong with being there for somebody who is actively trying to heal, but you cannot do the work for them. Bottom of the deck is the Fool, so there really is this kind of underlying energy of, screw it, let's see what happens, right? Clarifiers for death here. Clarifiers for death card. Have Two of Pentacles and Justice and the Eight of Pentacles. So again, this energy of transformation, this energy of things are changing and there's nothing you can do about it. You got to face the music, right? How can you find balance? How can you weigh your options? What do you need to do? How do you create justice in your life? Not balance, justice. Cut out things that do not belong in your space. If it's weighing you down, if it's keeping you held back, if it's keeping you from doing things your way and living your life, it's got to go, okay? And then this idea of like going back to the drawing board, starting over, or not even starting over, but like making adjustments kind of energy here. So really there is an energy of everything is changing. You got to figure out how to make yourself, your life, the best way it can possibly be within these changes. Excuse me. Clarifiers for the Chariot, please. Whoop. We have Three of Swords that came up in my reading this morning too. Three of Swords and one more. Eight of Wands. We are focusing on moving forward. The Chariot is actually the Cancer card. So this is all about like moving forward in like a stable kind of way. It's starting fresh, but it's starting fresh in a way, like an emotional way that is good for everybody, right? And then we've got the Three of Swords and the Eight of Wands. This is like, we're moving on from this. Maybe something heartbreaking comes up. Maybe something really big comes out. A lot of big information that comes out here that shows you where you need to move forward. What do you need to let go of so that you can get going forward? Saturn in Aries is going to ask you to cut a lot of people off in a lot of situations and things like that. Clarifiers for the Queen of Cups and the Ten of Wands here. We have Judgment. And I don't know if you saw my video yesterday about Saturn and Aries, and I mentioned how the Judgment card was coming up a lot because Saturn entering Aries is giving us that second chance to do better. So that is that Judgment card, that like rising from the dead, that spiritual death being turned into rising up and being able to try again. Having those boundaries. We're not taking on other people's healing processes. That's their responsibility. Have those boundaries. And we have this second chance to do better. We have the Hermit and the World. Maybe you have been doing a lot of the work. Good, awesome, now you know better. And a lot of us, we have a little too much empathy and we're like, you understand, you know, I want to help you heal, but that person isn't actually taking any responsibility for anything. So we end up just taking ourselves right back. Have those boundaries. Again, there's nothing wrong with being there for someone when they want to get some things off their chest, but you do not need to take on their healing process. We're doing it differently this time. Stop people pleasing. We should have already learned this lesson when the South Node was in Libra, but a lot of people really clung to that people pleasing. You are your only responsibility. Everybody else's stuff is their responsibility to fix.